Welcome in, Bleav in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson, Anthony Armstrong, part of the Bleav Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel, and we are on the eve of the start of Commanders mandatory minicamp, Anthony, and exciting times, because that means we're getting closer to training camp, which means we're getting closer to real football.
Man, for minicamp is the closest to real football that we're going to get for a good while, like almost, a month. And then even at that point, you have a little bit of a ramp-up period when you get into training camp. And when the pads come on, baby, that's when those Rydales get thumping, the shuts get to knocking, you get scuffs on helmets. That's when that's when football shows up, baby. Yes, indeed. Minicamp is around the corner. And for players that, need to make a shot, this is one of your last opportunities to really find a way to make up some ground. If your first two OTAs have been kind of slow, they can make up some ground right here, Scott.
Yeah, I got to ask you about two people you know very well that you played for and we're on staffs with, and that is, of course, Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. They have chosen, respectively, to not have minicamp, the 49ers and the Rams. And I think it was the 49ers at first said, we're not doing it because we had such great attendance in the OTAs. Even Trent Williams, as you know, that's not a common thing, showed up to the OTAs. And so they had all the attendance they wanted. So maybe that was just a carrot Kyle put out there earlier. And then, of course, McVay, because they're always like trying to one-up each other, I feel like, right? Had to do the same thing. But they're also playing each other week one, right, in Australia. So then I wonder if that extra travel had something to do with their mindset as to why they did it. But I do find it a little surprising because so many of these coaches tell us how important these off-season days are, and then for two teams just to say, nah, we're not even going to do it. It's kind of shocking.
It is shocking. I was thinking these are important reps because this is more like real football. OTAs is more teaching, or you do get to go against each other. You do get to compete. But minicamp is when the coaches kind of let the reins off a little bit. They let you go out there and play more ball. You get to run more reps consecutively. If you're in there in the offense, they'll say, hey, this is the twos versus the ones. Yeah. Y'all are going to stay in for 4 or 5 straight plays. So you have to show how you can bounce back. Can you run a play, get that rep right, come back to the huddle, pass, push that players to the side, take a new play call, get back out there and execute. This is where players, like I said earlier, if you're on that cusp, if you're on that line where they're trying to make a decision, is this a practice squad body? Is this a camp body? Or is this somebody that's going to make an impact on this roster? Minicamps can be huge. But when you look at these two teams, those two teams, the Rams and the 49ers, they're probably pretty set. They have Mike Evans, Ricky Pearsall. So they Kittle, they've got McCaffrey. Plus, they've had that any extra week away from that substation may be good for them. So that may be a good thing to consider for the 49ers. But then I think for the Rams, I feel like they don't trust each other. They like each other, but they also know. What's the chances, man? We don't trust them. We don't want to give them an extra week to hear or see anything about what we're doing on the field. If they're not practicing, we're not practicing. That's got to be their heads up upon this. I'll say this, Scott. If Philly or Dallas, or I guess we could say New York, if any NFC East opponent were to cancel their minicamp, would you want the Commanders to cancel theirs?
No, actually, I wanted to keep going because I got 2 new coordinators. I don't care what they're doing the other places. I almost feel like we're going to find out in a week that McVay and Shanahan, they're vacationing with families together, in Cabo or something funny, we're going to see pictures of them hanging out in some restaurant in Cabo or something. I don't know. But yeah, it is kind of funny. Also, but I do think the Australia aspect is both of them have talked about the crazy travel and what goes into all that. It may be because they feel like they're going to come into camp and have to ramp it up quicker, that these are better days just to give guys time off. I don't know. But
for what it's worth, quick search here, LA to Melbourne, almost 16 hours. San Francisco to Melbourne is about the same. So nobody has a leg up on travel time. Right. It's like, hey, well, their travel time's 16 and a half hours. Mine's only 16. They need to delay their flight. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tries to pull a favor at TSA. Hey, delay the Rams flight a little bit for us so we can, the 49ers can land first. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh my gosh. That's a funny little duo, that McVay and Shanahan, man. The best of friends, but they're enemies at all in the same
frenemies. frenemies at the same time. Bleav in Commanders podcast are brought to you by Bleav Network, and of course FanDuel brings it to you. And don't forget to comment, like, and follow. Most importantly, the podcast. Make sure you're following us. All right, let's get into the Commander side of things, because I'm glad that they're doing it. I mean, they've got, again, new coaches, new systems. We Bleav will be very drastically different on both sides of the ball. So, like, let's get these days in and figure some things out. I feel like we spent a ton of time talking about the offense and the what it's going to look like in the passing game, and of course the wide receivers, and whether or not they need to bring in the guy who keeps posting on Instagram if he ever gets free, Brandon Ayuk. But to your point earlier, like, if you're in this receiver room right now that is crowded and appears to have a lot of different skill sets, right? And you want to get as many reps in live action as possible, and even some of the leftover guys, like younger people from last year. Think about this: Jalen Lane, even Treylon Burks, who came in here late. Like, he didn't get a ton of reps with Jayden. Like, those guys didn't get a lot of reps with Jayden because Jayden was hurt. It's got to be greatly important for them as they're trying to solidify whatever role it's going to be for them in this final 53.
Absolutely. You think about it was OTA number 2, like the second week of OTAs, where Terry and Antonio Williams did not participate in OTAs,
right.
And they don't have to report any injuries or anything like that. And I don't think it was any injuries. I honestly feel like it was one of those plays where you're like, we know what we have with these two. We know what we have with 17. We know what we're going to get with 14. And we just want him to be a consummate professional. And plus, that time on the sideline just talking with Terry was probably way better than being in the huddle trying to run some more reps and showing what he's already done. That let me know that they're likely trying to get a Treylon Burks, a Jalen Lane, a De'Ami Brown, those guys opportunities to run those reps that Terry was going to run, right? Van Jefferson's another name that's been thrown around a lot. Get those guys in there, because there's one thing to be able to line up across from Terry McLaurin and share the huddle with him, right? But then there's another thing to actually have to fill in and step in and be Terry McLaurin. And it changes the way the quarterback looks at it too, right? The quarterback is coming in there. I got 17 and Anthony Armstrong. I'm going to go to 17. Right. But if I got Anthony Armstrong and then I got another young player, Scott Jackson, now I'm forced to go through my reads. I'm
definitely going to Anthony Armstrong if you have me on the other side. I'll answer that for you.
Let me get a rock there. Let me get the rock there and let me do my thing.
Well, the guy just pulled his hamstring going off the line of scrimmage. What happened to him? Why is he on the ground withering in pain?
It's a decoy. It's a double move. Fake the hammy, then get up and run with dump it to you,
staring at him like, what the hell? Did he just die on the field? What happened here? No, that's true. I mean, those guys, the Van Jefferson, I kind of feel like we spent like zero time talking about him, but like, again, a guy who's just a pro's pro. He had 0 drops, Anthony, 0 drops last year on his targets. Think about that. I mean, and they talk about all the work he puts in after the practice and the guns, unit just catching footballs. But I mean, give me sure-handed. I get it. He's had some injuries. He hasn't been able to stay on the field all the time, healthy. But he's in camp right now. I've seen him. I don't read any of his social media. I don't know if he's making videos or what he's doing. And that's great. I just know that he works hard and he wants to make a football team. I mean, I'll take that 9 times out of 9 times over crazy. I'm sorry, but I like he's an interesting guy, and again, he's fighting for roster spot. Luke McCaffrey was having a heck of a year last year. He's catching touchdowns like crazy before he got injured. And so, I mean, again, like, looking at it, and I think Ben Standing did a nice job with this, and he's written about it on Substack today. It's kind of like putting a basketball team together. You got to have guys that have different roles, know their roles in the receiver room. Everybody can't be the same type of receiver and the same person. And you also forget that, Chig Okonkwo has a big part of this receiver room, right? Rashad White is going to be a big part of the receiver room in a sense, coming out of the backfield when he's in the game, kind of like Eckler was. So there's more than just the wide receivers that are going to be catching footballs for this football team. And hopefully Bill can get better at that. He was good. I thought he did a pretty nice job when given some opportunities last year catching the ball too. So, they've got some pieces in the Senate, and John Bates doesn't get a lot of balls, but when he does, he catches them, right? Like in the tight end room. So I think they're fine in terms of pass catchers. I think they got a lot of variety and a lot of people there. And I think they'd be fine if they started the season with this group. And, with this offense, I think part of it too is, look, David Bleav, as you saw with the offense in Detroit that he was a part of, and of course the one that is, gone to Chicago with Ben Johnson, who he worked under and played under, that is an offense that, as you like to say, schemes people open, And you played in an offense like that with Kyle, right? I mean, you just some plays, man, they're going to get you open by the way the play's designed. So that's exciting to me. And there's a lot more, obviously, difference to this offense than we saw with Cliff's offense. Became a bit predictable, especially in the pre-snap part of it. And we were talking about that with Logan Paulson last week.
100%. And, at this level and at that level in the league, I feel like everybody has to do their work, right? You expect the players to do every bit of preparation ahead of time, watching the tape. But at the receiver position, sometimes there's only so much tape that you can watch. Like, I mean, I have to run a curl route, and a curl is a curl is a curl, unless it has some sort of conversion. But outside of that, there's only so much that I can watch. But when you have a play caller that's able to put you in position to be successful, man, you feel confident. You feel so confident knowing that regardless of what this other team is doing, regardless if you're going up, I'll name a Pat Surtain, one of the top, if not the top cornerback in the league. If you're going up against a Christian Gonzalez, you want those battles. You want those challenges as a competitor because you want to see how good you are. You want to see how you compete against those players. But it is helpful to get a couple of them where it's like, hey, man, a little pick and roll, right? Let me get a little easy pick and roll. Big man, don't come out on me. Let me get this nice, easy 3. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, having that in your game. Don't make everything be an uphill battle. But if David Bleav was able to mix it up, you mentioned Logan, he mentioned the linemen having being able to change their punches, right? Being able to have a couple counters, a couple of jabs, a hook here and there. That's play calling, right? Running game here and there. And going way, way back to the receivers, like who's going to make their play? Who can do the most out of these remaining 4 positions, right? If Terry and Antonio are taken care of, who's going to do the most? And it's not necessarily do the most as in, like, you got to score the most touchdowns and make the most noise, but like, are you making the blocks consistently? Are you catching the ball consistently? Are you covering a kick or 2 consistently? Can you tackle every now and again out there on special teams? If you have a few more of those feathers in your cap, I think it helps you out. So like, Van Jefferson, he's been a pretty solid receiver, right? He's kind of averaged more around a couple 100, 200, 300 yards the past few years. But he gets around, 40 to 50 targets. So he does some things and he's going to stretch the field for you. But is he covering kicks? Is he covering punts? I don't know if he really does that in his game a lot now. I know Diami has done that before.
Sure.
Jalen done it. Luke has done it. So those are going to be the way those bottom positions get shaken out. Who's doing the dirty work and who's doing something a little bit different than 17 and 14.
Absolutely. That's like, again, we know Jalen's an excellent returner on the punt side, but Luke did a good job with the kickoff before the injury. We know that Antonio Williams did it in college. So as you say, like this last couple, 3 to 4, man, that's what those guys, I guess like really the 4, 5, 6 spot, if you're keeping 6, those guys are going to have some type of role on special teams, more likely than not. We're here, Bleav in Commanders podcast. Please like, comment, and follow us, part of the Bleav Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. By the way, that always reminds me when we talk about special teams and receivers. Remember when they drafted Terry McLaurin? The feeling was, well, hey, this guy's an immediate impact on special teams. He was a captain on special teams at Ohio State. And I think it was like, I don't even know if it was a week into the camp, and like Jake Gruden's like, yeah, that ain't happening, man. Like this dude's he's a rotational wide receiver. We don't need to do that to him.
I love that, man. Yeah. They said the same thing about Clay Matthews. Yeah. They said he'd be an immediate special teams impact. And I was like, I don't want to take a first rounder if he's going to be a special teamer. Right. He ended up being probably arguably a Hall of Famer for a pass rusher there. So everybody messes up from time to time, or maybe you pay attention to when they call somebody a special temer. Mm-hmm. Right. Maybe they got something to them.
You got to have a little different wiring to be excellent at special teams, as you know, because you got to be a little fearless to run down there, especially for smaller
fearless
guys.
Or stupid, Scott. Fearless or stupid.
Well, I was being nice. I was going to say
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Sometimes your fearlessness, you have to set that hat to the side and put on that old dunce cap every now and again. Because who was that big old tight? There was a big old fullback for the Eagles. I think he went to West Virginia and he wore like 40 something. Oh, I have to look it up. But I remember running down on kickoff and I was like, golly, I got to run into you. Like, okay.
Well, did you play with Sellers, Mike Sellers on the Redskins? Think about running up against him. Like, I don't know how people did it.
Scott, let me tell you my first day at training, my first camp, my first practice with the Redskins. I show up and it's like 2 minutes before practice, so basically, and I get out there and Danny Smith, Hey, we got a scout kickoff return. Hey, Armstrong, come here. Help me out. Hey, you got number 5. And then we count from outside in.
Right,
1,
right.
2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm like, nah, that ain't right. That sucker, they're too big, man. He is too. Let me do it again. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 45. I said, oh, good Lord.
Oh, boy.
Here come Mike Sellers running down full speed. He was laughing halfway down the field because he could see the fear in my eyes and the decisions that I was already making. Like, I'm not blocking this big sucker, man. He came down there and it was, Olay, man, get on ahead, get by me, bud. And he was laughing and giggling the whole time. I don't know how people dealt with Mike Sellers. I don't know how people dealt with Lorenzo Alexander.
Oh, yeah. One-man gang, dude.
Chris Wilson would lay the hat. Rock Cartwright would come down there like a bowling ball from time to time. Oh, my gosh, man. What a game, man. What a game.
Tough dudes back then. Defense, too, with, as people continue to get back on the field, this finally is like the time where they actually get to do some stuff, right? Like they actually get to be a little bit more engaged in coverage in this mandatory minicamp. That's another thing we were talking about, which for a team like Washington that has, again, so many new faces, obviously on both sides of the ball, but also just new schemes on both sides of the ball. I guess somebody jokingly asked Dan Quinn if he was going to cancel minicamp last week, and he's like, no. And I don't know if he knew the reference at that point about what the Niners and the Rams had decided to do. But I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm just kind of astonished 2 teams would do that. But I know this team and what this organization needs, and they need these, whether they give it 3 full days or if it's 2.5. As you know, you did that a lot with Mike, right? They would you come the 3rd day or before the 3rd day, they're like, we're going to the movies or whatever, or Top Golf, or we're not doing it, and they just go home. They would just kind of lay that out. So it's like a carrot for you guys to have 2 great days.
What are the media rules for minicamp, right? So it says fully open to local media, right?
Yeah. So you can watch it all. I think they've been watching all the OTAs too. So it's just when the regular season starts when it's terrible. It's just like 20 minutes of nothing. Like, hey, we're stretching, maybe 5 minutes of the team drills. They're like, all right, up to the annex, you guys go.
I hate seeing those all on Twitter because people will try to like make a decision on the starting quarterback based on throwing the ball into the bucket in the corner of the end zone. I'm like, and like, oh yeah, he looks ready to go. I'm like, that's just the throw. It ain't nothing big, but okay.
They're aware. They're aware of who's out there. But now there is more restrictions in camps too, even from the fans' perspective. They put the signs up. They don't want you filming as much. Of course, there's been fewer fan days, although I think the Commanders are increasing fan days this year, which is
for
great.
The season ticket holders, mind you, for the season ticket holders.
Yeah, for the season ticket holders.
Yeah, and they got some discounted food for y'all too. So make sure y'all go and we don't get no kickbacks for that. But if you would give me a hot dog, I would appreciate it. Give me a hot dog.
Exactly. Send Anthony a hot dog in the mail. But yeah, I mean, so those type of things, and look, this, as we've said before, these first couple of weeks, this team, much like they did when they were brand new and 2023 with this staff, this is their advantage, right? Like their advantage season where you don't know, or excuse me, 2024, you just don't know what it's going to look like until they hit the field. I think we'll probably get the most vanilla flavoring when it comes to those 3 preseason games and what these guys do. I mean, some stuff you formationally, like whatever, they'll show it to you, but they're not going to show you a whole heck of a lot.
No, they made those some little funky like swinging gate or something like that. I always found it funny, Scott, that like the coaches will work some of those things, and like as you mentioned, Danny, like will work like a reverse or some sort of throwback. We going to use it. We gonna put it in. We gonna use it. We gonna use it. Never use it. But then like finally, we like week 13, and they be like, hey, remember that one from day 1 of training camp? Yeah, we gonna use it. We gonna run it right here. We gonna run it. And then if you do run it, everybody's hype, and it's even better when it works. Hell, I remember in Odessa, my head coach at the time was Mike Esposito, and we had on a play on field goal, just gonna be a fake field goal. The kicker was gonna run a wheel route, drop it off, throw him a ball, and throw him a dime. The cue, Scott, was to look over and if coach was tying his shoe.
Oh wow!
And so I looked over one game and he was over there tying those chucks. I said, oh, we're on, baby. Let's do it. Faked that snap, rolled out like JD5, threw that sucker up to the corner like it's Terry McLaurin, and it was a touchdown, man. So I was feeling good, man. My kicker caught him a tutty. Armstrong got him a touchdown pass.
That's pretty freaking great, man. That because most of the times, you know, it happens like the kicker just falls or he drops the ball or something. I remember Tress Way threw a beautiful spiral. He had a couple of them. He had the one in the playoff game against the Eagles 2 years ago, and then when they were at the Giants one year when Gruden was a coach, they had him load one up. Man, it was a great throw. But we haven't seen Tress throw in a while. Just I don't know how many more years that he's got in the hourglass here, so maybe we got to work that in again this year.
I would do it week one. First punt of the year.
In Philly, yeah.
In Philly, and it's like 4th and 3. And like, Tress, we're staying on the field. Put Tress under center. Matter of fact, we'll shift into
really throw some people off.
Really throw some people off. That'll be, any little thing that's going to take 5 minutes of the opponent's time, Coach. That's what we need.
All right, I got to ask you a couple non-football things before we wrap up. I know you said you could not root for San Antonio, so I'm sure you're happy for your guy, Big Body Brunson, and the Knicks to win the championship and not have to hear from the Spurs fans this offseason.
Man, I'm happy. I'm happy for Jalen for sure. Just because, I mean, the guy he lives that dream that you tell kids about. Like, hey, just keep working hard. And everything will work out for you. He's had success on every single level. I remember when he left Dallas. He left Dallas and went to New York. And they're like, why would you leave Luka? I'm like, because you get to bet on yourself. This is the opportunity that you dream of as a young athlete, as a young person. You want those opportunities. You got to go out there and get it. And I'm happy for him, man, because he went out there and just performed, took a pay cut, took a huge pay cut, and he's going to make that back 3, 4, 5 times over in New York. So he's going to be all right. But he did what was best for the team. He went out there, had an absolute immaculate performance, just impeccable. So, shout out to him. Now, I will say, sometimes the Knicks fans can get a little obnoxious. So, y'all got you past Thursday. Let's get you past Thursday. And then you're going to have to shut it down, man. We got to back up from there.
Well, I mean, we like to say to fans, act like you've been there, but they haven't. So they have no idea how to act. So I kind of expected this. I actually thought it could actually be worse for the city. I'm amazed it's still standing, so that's good. But it was a little messy. I just, you just get those idiots that want to, decide, hey, this is my free pass to go break into things and, just be a complete moron because my team won a championship. Like, no, we don't need to do that.
Yeah, but, Stephen A. was saying that he was worried that this whole time that the Cowboys would get a championship before his Knicks did. So he is off the hook for that.
Well, he's not the only one. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way in all kinds of sports. That we'd like to see our teams before the Cowboys. It's been, of course, from Washington's perspective. Absolutely. Did you watch any World Cup? I mean, I gotta say, I had high hopes that Team USA could get through pool play, or group play, excuse me, as they call it, and the football, the world's football. But I didn't. You could have given me 25 tries to pick that score. I would have never gotten that, man. I can't believe the opening statement. Team USA,
they went on a tear. Was it 4 or 5 goals? Something. It might have been 6.
4 goals.
4.
3 at halftime, I believe, right?
I saw them first 3, and I knew I saw 4-1. And I didn't know if they scored another one on top of that. But the USA was balling. Then I was watching Mexico. Mexico had a good game, and then Japan and Netherlands. That was going on here in Dallas. So that one was cool to see. That was a good matchup. 2 really good countries, good teams. Ended up being a 2-2 draw. I love that this is that time of year that everybody is all a football aficionado, a football expert. And then, frankly, if you are a World Cup person and you want to get in on some of those actions, FanDuel. That's where
FanDuel, baby.
Got all your FIFA World Cup betting odds. I see Spain and Cape Verde. That's live. So you have live action you can get into. Belgium and Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Uruguay, France and Senegal. France is a favorite. So there's all the games on there. Check them out on FanDuel if you'd like. But I will say this. I watched in Spanish. I watched on Telemundo.
Isn't that fun?
So much more energy. You know what I mean? Energy, rather than just the accent. Oh, here comes the attack on the left side and the cross. No. That's like it'll be in Spanish. I don't know what they're saying, but then they go, goal.
You know when you hear goal, though.
I'm like, I just scurry to the TV. Like. Yeah, man. That's right. So it's been good. It's exciting to see.
Awesome. All right. Well, now that the NBA and the NHL is over, we got drafts coming up for the NBA, and obviously FanDuel will keep you covered with all the World Cup action and Anyway, and of course, you can do all your futures NFL at FanDuel as well. All right. Well, that'll do it for us this time. Later this week, we'll have some folks on who have been watching this team up close and personal this offseason. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like, comment, and follow us. And again, we're part of the Bleav Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel. Thanks for checking out Bleav in Commanders. For Anthony Armstrong, I'm Scott Jackson. Until next time, thank you.